Guys, so here is the first exercise for today's class in charcoal chiaroscuro portraiture. And this is simply getting to know our medium, which is willow charcoal. So we're going to start by making as thin marks as possible, just to get used to how you hold the charcoal on the page. You'll notice you can get thin marks if you just put it on its edge. You can get some thicker marks either by using it straight like this, or if this side wears down, and a flat mark by breaking off a piece and just pulling it down the surface of the page. Hatching is one way to shade, which is when you make a lot of little lines right next to each other. And then smudging is when we smudge the charcoal. So when using charcoal, we're not using this medium for outlines unless we want something really stylized. With charcoal, you're going to be looking for the dark areas first, more than outlines. With that said, let's just do a little exercise learning about light and dark. So using very light pressure, we're going to map out a little sphere. And I'm going to put a little oval underneath this for the cast shadow. And I'll explain what all of that is and how light works in a moment. Now across the center of this orb, I'm going to do a curved line to show the volume of the form. This is where the shadow is going to be darkest. This is called a core shadow. So I'm just going to hatch with heavy pressure along the core shadow. With light pressure, I'm going to hatch along the area just to the side of the core shadow. This is known as reflected light because this is light that's bouncing off from behind the orb back onto the ball. We can also hatch in the cast shadow, which is the shadow that's cast by this ball on the floor in right now. Now we can smudge these marks using a paper towel or a hand, and then delicately move the charcoal into the halftones, which are the second lightest areas. And you can reinforce any of these shadows if you need to. So this is basically how light and dark works. The very lightest area on a subject is known as the highlight. That's going to be where light is just bouncing back. And let me just get I don't have an eraser on me, so I'll get that in a second, but that would be the lightest area. The darkest area is going to be known as the core shadow. That's the form of the object. Basically, if you think about corners on objects, so it's the area right behind the peak in the volume of the object. The halftones are the second lightest areas, and reflected light is actually the darker area that's not the very darkest, so it's the second darkest area where light is reflecting back.